All right, grade 1. Today we read a short story in our Your Turn book. Okay, and the title of our story is called The Food We Eat. Okay, as you guys noticed that this week we've been reading stories of how the food we eat, how do we get the food we eat, and we've been reading about the sequence or the steps of how certain food are made, such as bread, such as orange juice, grape jam, and even milk. Okay, today we'll be reading a story that has the same idea. Okay, and the title of the story again is The Food We Eat. Page 1. This is a big farm. It grows beans and grapes. Soon they can be picked. Okay, so we know that fruits and vegetables and even some animals are raised in a farm. So here this farm is growing or plants two types of food. The first one is a fruit called grape, and the second one is a vegetable called beans. So this is a very big farm and it grows beans and grapes. Soon they can be picked. Okay, that means they will be picked and be ready to be picked soon, after a while. Okay, that means they are ripe. The word ripe means they are ready to be picked and eaten. On page 2, people work here. They pack up the food. Then trucks take it to the shop. Okay, so on this farm, people work on the farm. What do they do? First, when the fruit and vegetables are ready, they pick it from the farm and then they pack it. They pack it means they put it in boxes. Okay, as you see here, the workers are packing boxes of beans and grapes. Where do they put them? Then trucks take it to the shops. So where are they packing the food? They are packing the food on a big truck, and the truck, this big car, will take the food, the beans and the grapes to the shop. Page 3. After that, we can go to a shop. We buy the grapes. They look great. Okay, where does the truck take the food, the grapes and the beans? It takes it to the shop. Why? So people like us can buy the grapes. So people buy the grapes from the shop and they look good. Okay, so we said that beans and grapes grow in the farm. Then the workers pick the beans and grapes and pack them in trucks. And then the trucks take them to shops where we can buy them. Let's go to page 4. On page 4 it says, then we buy beans. We cook the food, it tastes great. So when we buy the beans, what do? We have to cook it. And it tastes very good, okay, or tasty. That means it's delicious. So this was our story for today. Okay. And it says, now that we read the story, you can go back and read the story one more time before you answer the questions. But now it's going to start asking you the sequence or the order of how things are made. It says, what happens to the food first? Okay, what happens to the food first? The food here refers to the beans and grapes. Okay, on page 1, if you go back and you read it again, it says, this is a big farm. It grows beans and grapes. Soon they will be picked. So we will say the food grows in a farm. So the first step, that the food such as the bean and grapes grow in a farm, and then they are picked, right? Question number 2. After packing, what happens to the food? Okay, so the food grows in the farm and is picked. Okay, after they pack the food, what happens to the food? Let's go back to page 2. Page 2, the farmers pack it. So what's the answer? After they pack the food, the truck takes it to the shop. So the answer for number 2 is truck takes the food to the shops. What happens to the food next? What happens after the food goes to the shop? If we look on page 3, we will see that people go to buy the food from the shop. Okay, after that, we go to the shop, we buy the grapes. So when the food goes to the shop, we buy the food. For number 3, we buy the food, such as the grapes and the beans. What happens to the food last? Okay, on page 4, it says here, if you guys don't remember, that after they buy the beans, they have to cook it. So the family buys the beans, we cook the food, it tastes good. So after we buy the food, what do? We cook it and we eat it. So answer for number 4 is we cook the food and it tastes very good. Here it says complete the sentence to tell what the family buys. The family buys, we can write beans and grapes. Okay? Let's check the answers. Okay. Here it says here what happens to the food first. It says the answer, the food grows in big farms. Okay, so the food grows in big farms. After we pack it, what happens to the food? Trucks take the food to the shops. What happens to the food next? After the food goes to the shop, we go to buy the food, such as the bean and grapes, from the shop. What happens to the food last? Some food we just wash it and we eat it, and such as the beans, we cook the food and eat it. The last one, the family buys beans. What else did they buy? The family buys beans and grapes. Okay? Okay, there are more questions about this story. If we go to page 150, and we also want, now that we know the story and we answered questions, I guess we can answer and complete these sentences. Okay, these are pictures from the story to help us complete the sentence. It says, first, the farm grows. What did the farm grow? The farm grows beans and grapes. We can write the farm grows beans and grapes. Next, the food is packed and truck takes what do the trucks do? Trucks take the food to the shops. Then the family buy the grapes and the beans. Last, the family cook the beans and eat it. Okay, so make sure you read the story properly, you understand the key details, and you try to complete it in your own way, as long as related to the story. Okay, and these are the answers. I wrote first, the farm grows beans and grapes. Next, the food is packed and trucks take the food to the shop. Then the family goes to the shop and buys the grapes and beans. Last, the family cooks the food and eat it. Okay? And that was it for today in the reading workshop, in the Your Turn.